In this video, I got an unboxing to do for you guys, and then I'm going to talk about 5 superhero team books that should be on your radar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. And in this video, I got an unboxing to do for you guys, and then I'm going to talk about 5 superhero team books that, in my opinion, should be on your radar. But before I get into the video for today, if you guys could drop me a like or comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel, do one of those things. But we got to get into the video, and I got this unboxing to do. I got this one in the mail, and of course, this is going to be setting up our conversation about team books here today. And, you know, for me, team books are something that I feel like, you know, you're either all in with them or you're totally against them in general. Because in my personal opinion, I really love first team appearance books because I always felt like, you know, when I was growing up, getting books like that had teams on them, I always felt like I was getting more bang for my buck overall. You know, yeah, it'd be nice to have the first appearance of all these characters, but if I can't get their first appearance, I can certainly get them all as you know, a team on the same book together. So I've always really appreciated team books for that reason. And, you know, I think the market is slowly starting to, you know, get more onto the bandwagon of team books. You know, certainly it's a little bit hit or miss, right? Because if you have a team book, it's not necessarily the first appearance, or sometimes the team that is in the movie isn't necessarily reflective as far as like a roster is concerned to the team that's, you know, actually in the book as their first appearance. So it can be a little bit of a hit or miss, but there are certain books that I think are still worth it when picking up, you know, team appearances and things like that. And God, sometimes, like, you guys ever just get, like, sometimes the shipping that people do for their stuff is so sketch. It's like a miracle that these books are not totally destroyed here. All right, well, we got to show off this book right here, which of course is going to set up our conversation because there are 5 team books that I think are really interesting as far as, like, you know, books that I think should be on your radar. You know, I'm not going to say that these are books that, you know, you should go out there and invest in. I'm not going to say these are books that you should spec on. All I'm saying is these are 5 books that should be on your radar. And this one right here has been one that has been on my radar for quite a while. And I finally decided to pull the trigger. And this book I am talking about is The New Avengers, #7, First Appearance of the Illuminati. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I'm excited about this book. I happened to talk about this one when there were the rumors about World War Hulk maybe showing up in the MCU. I mentioned this book being sort of the most interesting one with regards to, you know, that rumor, at least in my opinion. And we're certainly going to get into that later on in the video. But I won't belabor, you know, my talking points for that because we're still going to get into it. But before I do, we have to take a second to talk about the sponsor of this video, MySlabs.com. Now, for those who don't know, MySlabs.com is an online marketplace that specializes in graded collectibles. And one of the things that is so great about this company is, as you can see right there from their website, 1% fees for sellers, which is really great because sellers can keep more money in their pockets and presumably buyers can get better deals as a result of it. So I'm going to play this commercial for you guys, and then we're going to talk about some team books on the other side.
Tired of paying 10%, 15% or more to sell your cards, comics, and digital collectibles? How does 1% sound? Too good to be true? Well, not anymore. MySlabs.com is the web's premier user-driven marketplace for buying and selling slabbed cards, sealed wax, and now slabbed comics and digital collectibles. So the next time you're forced to pay 10% or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com and join the 1% revolution.
Definitely go check out MySlabs.com and see if it's a marketplace for you. Well, with that out of the way, we got to talk about our team books here that I think should be on your radar. Now, of course, there's a lot of teams, a lot of superhero teams in the Marvel universe. We got the Avengers, we got the X-Men, we got the Midnight Suns, we got teams like that. But I wanted to kind of highlight 5 teams that I felt like, you know, could be interesting pickups for you guys out there. You know, ones that might see their way into the MCU sometime in the near future. And of course, the first one I got to talk about right here is New Avengers number 7 from 2005, the book that I just unboxed for you guys. And in case you guys forgot already, what is the significance of this? Well, this is, of course, is the first appearance of the Illuminati. Now, this was a book written by Brian Michael Bendis in 2005, and the Illuminati was basically a group of superheroes that came together to, like, you know, be representations of the various factions and then decide what they wanted to do with certain, you know, events that happened in the world. So you had Professor X representing the X-Men, you had Reed Richards representing Fantastic Four, you had Iron Man representing, you know, the Avengers, you had Black Bolt representing the humans, so on and so forth. And there would be different members that would join the team, you know, from time to time. One of the things that I think is really interesting about this book is right now there's been so many rumors that have sort of been, you know, laying the foundation for us to maybe see the Illuminati in the MCU. I mean, there's even talk of the Illuminati showing up as soon as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness next year. And why I think that, you know, these rumors are so interesting overall is that, you know, as we get sort of more and more power creep into, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as we start to deal with things like the multiverse and Kang the Conqueror and things like that, I feel like the Illuminati is a team that is going to be sort of almost needed to have in the Marvel Universe. I mean, we're always going to need to have this collection of heroes that have to deal with these threats that are even beyond that of the Avengers. And if we look at sort of the landscape that Feige is setting up in the MCU right now, it feels like, you know, he's taking a lot of inspiration from the Bendis era. You know, we have things like Thunderbolts, we have things like Secret Invasion, we're introducing the multiverse. You know, now there's rumors that we're going to see the Illuminati, and that makes a lot of sense as to why we would see a team like that for all those reasons. As we get this power creep, we're going to need the Illuminati to play a role into all of these different storylines in the future. So I really like this book overall as like a potential to, you know, pop off in the market. I really think that it's very, very possible that we could see the Illuminati. So I think that this is one that would definitely be worth having on your radar. As you guys already know, I bought it for myself. Estimated average raw $20 to $30. All right, the next interesting team book that I wanted to talk about is this one right here, Iron Man number 9 from 1998. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the Winter Guard. This is a book that was written by Kurt Busiek, who actually is kind of, you know, I think over time proving himself to be like one of the, you know, the great Marvel writers. I feel like Kurt Busiek has written a lot of great storylines that were sort of overlooked because I feel like he was, you know, really writing in an era where comic books, or at least Marvel comic books, were not very popular. But he's done some great Avengers storylines. I mean, they've taken a lot of inspiration for him with the Kang the Conqueror stuff. So I feel like, you know, there's people at Marvel, in the way that I talk about people looking at Mark Gruenwald's work, I feel like there's people over there that are also looking at Kurt Busiek's work as well. And why I like this book here, first appearance of the Winter Guard, of course, we got David Harbour playing the Red Guardian in the Black Widow film, and there has been an announcement that he has signed on to do more movies in the future. So it feels like they're really setting him up to have a bigger role in the MCU. And if you guys have noticed, they have been doing a ongoing, or at least a limited, Winter Guard comic book storyline. So that got me, you know, really, really thinking that maybe the Winter Guard is going to be something that the MCU brings into the fold. Like maybe they're going to have the Crimson Dynamo, maybe they're going to have Ursa Major. Characters like that eventually make their way on screen. And of course, the Red Guardian will lead the charge for that. So I like this book right here, first appearance of the Winter Guard team. And also what's cool about this is that it's a really, really low buy-in. I mean, estimated average raw is only $15 to $20 right now. So, you know, there's a lot of potential for this thing to gain in value, to get really, really hot, especially if we ever get that Winter Guard announcement. Additionally, one of the cool things about the Winter Guard is that their roster actually never changes. It just gets turned over to another person. So if the Crimson Dynamo ever died, they would just get a new person to take up the mantle of Crimson Dynamo. So one of the problems with team books, right, is that when you have roster turnover, you start to get these teams that don't represent the original first appearance of the team. Well, in this particular instance, the Winter Guard kind of solves for that because they always have quote unquote the same rostered members. They're just taken up by different people if those characters ever die. So I like this book, Iron Man number 9, first appearance of the Winter Guard. I think it should be a book on your radar. All right, the next book I want to highlight is, of course, one that you guys probably all know. This one, of course, is Agents of Atlas #1 from 2018, written by Gregory Pak. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the Agents of Atlas. Now, the Agents of Atlas is an all-Asian superhero team, and this is a book that got extremely hot off the heels of Shang-Chi. A lot of people were thinking that, maybe the Agents of Atlas were going to show up in Shang-Chi, but there still is sort of grounds to feel like the Agents of Atlas could make their way into the MCU. I mean, a lot of people sort of, just from a business perspective, we know that Marvel/Disney really wants to capture the Asian markets, really wants to, make money in China, etc. So, it would make sense for them to sort of build out a Asian superhero team that kind of appeal to some of those markets. One of the other cool things I think that is unique about this book is that not only is this the first appearance of the team, but this is also the first appearance of a few of the characters who are on the team. So I have right there Luna Snow, Crescent, Arrow, and Wave. And now that we're on the other end of Shang-Chi, it feels like, some of the prices for this thing have been cooling off. So it feels like now might be a good time to, put this one back on your radar, see if you happen to come across it in an LCS, and maybe if you find a good deal, you can swoop it up, and you never really know with this kind of thing. All right, the next book I want to put on your radar, well, actually maybe is 2 books, depending on how you want to spin this here, but I'm going to talk about Uncanny X-Men #129 from 1979. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first full appearance of Alpha Flight. Now, I also have right there in the lower right corner, you can see Uncanny X-Men #120. That's the first cameo appearance of Alpha Flight. But one of the controversial things about this whole situation is that you can technically see Alpha Flight on the cover. They are in shadows. They do have their back turned to us, but some people kind of count that as a cover appearance. So this is one of those books where it's like, who really knows what the money book is? In my opinion, I think 121 is the book you would want to have. I think that it's a cooler cover, just, subjectively. I also think owning the full appearance is more satisfying, but I'll let you guys decide whether you like 120 or 121. Regardless, these 2 books are the first appearance of Alpha Flight. And Alpha Flight is a really interesting team because I feel like they have a very strong cult following. I mean, they're one of the few teams that actually had an ongoing run. In the 80s, a lot of people loved that John Byrne run. So that kind of like brought a lot of awareness to them as a team. But a lot of people love Alpha Flight. A lot of people feeling like Alpha Flight might make their way into the MCU. Now, as much as I would love for that to happen, it does feel like we are quite a few years away from that actually taking place. I mean, we don't even have mutants yet in the MCU. We still got to get the mutants in before we can really get, Alpha Flight in. But you never really know with these things because Alpha Flight has so many connections to, Wolverine. Maybe they're going to want to get Wolverine in there. They're going to want to tell it through the Alpha Flight Incredible Hulk storyline, like in the comic book. So maybe we'll get Alpha Flight as one of the first mutant teams that we actually see. One of the other cool things about, and that's interesting about Alpha Flight, is that, we have Gamma Flight going on currently in the, Marvel comic book or current storylines of Marvel comic books. And Gamma Flight actually has a slight relation to Alpha Flight as well. I mean, they've kind of tweaked it to make it more of the Hulk universe, but there was an original Gamma Flight that did take place with Alpha Flight as a Canadian superhero team. That's how they would kind of do it. It's like the sort of like they would do like minor leagues for their superhero team. But I really like this book overall. And definitely it is a pricey book. It's gotten really, really hot based on all the speculation for X-Men keys. But all of that aside, I do still think this is a great key to have on your collection simply because it is from that, iconic Claremont run, right? We're talking about, the X-Men in these 100 ranges. People love collecting this stuff. People want to always own this stuff. So take away the idea of, Alpha Flight showing up into the MCU. It's still going to be a great key from one of the most popular X-Men titles there is in comic books. So this is always going to be a desirable book in the market. There you can see estimated average raw 120 to 170 right now. Who knows what the values of this thing could go to if we actually got Alpha Flight into the MCU. But regardless, I think this is a great key to have and definitely a team that should be on your radar. All right, and the last team that I want to talk about for superhero teams I feel like should be on your radar is Marvel Feature #1 from 1971. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is, of course, is the first appearance of the Defenders. Not the Netflix Defenders, not those street level heroes. We're talking about the original Defenders, the Doctor Strange, Incredible Hulk, Namor, and eventually Silver Surfer Defenders. And this right here to me is a great great book. Written by Roy Thomas, I feel like the Defenders is a super underrated and underappreciated team in Marvel comic books. And I really, really like this book as a potential to really sort of catch on in the market eventually down the road. I mean, when we think about, you know, the rostered members of this team and we think about what's currently going on in the MCU, I mean, it feels like the foundation is set to be able to bring this team to the screen. I mean, of course, you need Doctor Strange. I feel like the Defenders are, you know, Doctor Strange's team. So it feels like, you know, you need him there as part of the equation. You have the Incredible Hulk. It doesn't feel like Mark Ruffalo is going anywhere anytime soon. And certainly in the future, we're going to be getting Namor and the Silver Surfer. So it feels like the foundation is really set for this team to make its way into the MCU. And one of the cool things about the Defenders overall is that, you know, it feels like over the years, Marvel always tries to, you know, redo a ongoing series for the Defenders. I mean, there's always a market of people that love this team, that want to read about it, and it feels like, you know, Marvel believes in it. I mean, we have a great Defenders run going on right now in comics that people really, really love. So that gives me, you know, hope that the Defenders is a team that Marvel definitely wants to prioritize. One of the things I also really do like about the Defenders is you can see right there, I have on the slide, power creep solution. You know, as Marvel continues to do these, you know, event movies and we start to get bigger and bigger and they got to raise the stakes constantly, they're going to have to start doing like crazier and weirder and trippier stuff with like crazy villains like Shuma Gorath and things like that. And the Defenders is the team that really goes against those types of powerful beings. I mean, they're the ones that are going out through the multiverse. They're going into different dimensions, things like that. And they're all like powerful enough to combat those types of threats. So I really like them as a team that can make their way onto the screen and be something that Feige uses to always, you know, raise the stakes. Additionally, when you look at, you know, some of the values of this book, given that it's a 1971 Bronze Age book, in my opinion, I think this one is really undervalued overall. I mean, you can see right there, estimated average raw 75 to 125. I've even seen books be sold for cheaper. So I actually think there's a lot of potential for this book to increase in value over time, which is why I really like it. And it feels like we're definitely going to be getting the Defenders in the MCU. I mean, I would definitely be surprised if we didn't get the Defenders in the MCU. At the very least, I feel like when we get Doctor Strange #3, they're going to call it the Defenders in the way that we got, you know, Civil War as Captain America #3. I'm going to put it out right now. I'm going to put it out in the universe. I feel like Doctor Strange #3 will be a Defenders film and they'll go up against Mephisto. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Those were my, you know, 5 team superhero books that I think should be on your radar. Obviously, there's a lot of great team books out there. You know, I didn't even talk about X-Men #1. I didn't talk about X Factor or Midnight Suns or things like that, or Legion of Monsters. I think there's a lot of great books, but these are 5 team books that I felt pretty, you know, strongly about as far as books that, you know, should possibly be on your roster for the MCU. Well, that is all I have for this video. I'm going to enjoy my new Avengers #7, First Illuminati. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I'll see you in the next one.